When was the last time someone asked a man, how are you really doing? Not how is work? How about your family? How are the bills? Or how is the business? But how are you? Many men spend their lives carrying responsibilities, providing, protecting, leading, serving, sacrificing, and just showing up. And why people celebrate what they do, very few ask how they are doing. Some are carrying financial pressure, some are carrying emotional pain, and some are carrying burnout. Some are carrying disappointment, and some are carrying grief, and many are carrying it silently. Today, we're talking about the invisible burnout, the kind nobody sees, the kind people suffer through in silence. The kind people suffer through in silence. And today you won't just hear from me, you will hear directly from remarkable men who have appeared on Take Charge with Dr. Chichi and have openly shared their experiences, challenges, and solutions. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. I am Dr. Chichi. One thing I have learned through years of working in healthcare, leadership, community service, and personal development is that burnout does not discriminate. It affects women, it affects men, it affects healthcare professionals, it affects leaders, and it affects caregivers. But today, I want to shine a light on a group who suffer quietly, the people who are expected to be strong all the time, the people who are expected to carry the load, the people who are often asked for help but really offered help, fathers, husbands, brothers, sons, male healthcare professionals, male leaders, entrepreneurs, and everyday man carrying responsibilities that many people never see. Many of these men are exhausted, many are overwhelmed, many are struggling silently, and many have convinced themselves that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Today's conversation is about changing that narrative because strength and silence are not the same thing, and burnout does not discriminate. Today, I'm sharing conversation from several remarkable men who have appeared on Take Charge with Dr. Chichi and have only shared their experiences and challenges and solutions. You will hear these personal experiences with burnout, their challenges, their solutions, their advice. And throughout this episode, I will also be sharing parts of my conversation with my husband, Sarkozy Okoli. My hope is that this conversation gives someone permission to speak up, seek support, and take charge before burnout takes charge of them. Let's begin. I often wonder, why don't more men talk about burnout? One thing that stood out for me during my Burnout to Breakthrough seminar was that there were significantly fewer men present than women. The observation led to an interesting conversation with my husband, Sarkozy Okoli. We discussed why many men are often missing from conversation about burnout, healing, self-care, and mental wellness. So during the same seminar, Consul Abubakar raised a very important concern, and he wondered why more men were not present. He encouraged men to come out, learn about burnout, and take charge of their lives before burnout takes charge of them. Hello.
Hello.
This is Cozy. Cozy is my husband for almost 32 years. Um, During the Burnout to Breakthrough seminar, we had a lot of female represented, and we have just few men. And one of the men that attended the seminar, one of the questions that that they ask me, they're like, how come men are not represented that much? It was just few of them, but a lot of women. And I had this conversation with Cozy, and listen. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for attending the Burnout Breakthrough Seminar. What's your name?
My name is Consul Abubakar Othman.
Good to see you and good to meet you. I know we had a discussion inside, and you said something about um, the seminar not being gender sensitive. What do you mean by that?
Actually, I saw the number of men that were in attendance were just few. So we're kind of overwhelmed by the women, like 90, 10, the attendance. So I'm calling our brothers, come out and support Dr. Chichi. It has been a very engaging seminar, talking about burnout, stress, and everything, our work life, how to balance things to go well. Please come out. It's a very engaging and entertaining and interactive stuff. Please come out and join her and support her in any way you can. I really enjoy my day and I'm looking forward to the next episode and any event that she's hosting because it's really educating and very informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bobaka. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome, Doctor.
After hearing his thoughts, I continued my conversation with Cozy, and I asked him, what burden do you think many men carry in silence that people often don't see or understand? Listen as I continue my conversation with Cozy. And I think it's important that you share because the goal is to help or create this awareness so men can start speaking and not get burnt out or have problems that will end their life. So, as a man, father, husband, leader, what is one burden you think many men carry in silence that people often don't see or understand?
Well, um, first, thanks for having me. Um, Men are generally um, created differently, and they carry a lot, or what should I say, we carry a lot in mind. And that's unfortunate, and it's a burden. It can create burnout. Now, about the seminar that you had, that we had, um, there was a lot of female nurses present. Yes, there weren't a lot of men, just maybe four, maybe five.
I mean, other professionals, it wasn't
Yeah.
just nurses.
So burnout occurs around any professional, any workplace. Um, you know, and men don't necessarily talk as much as ladies, and it's not a bad thing. It's just the way we're wired. So when I say that, I want to make sure that women are respected. I had a mother and sisters, and I have a wife and children. So um, I'm trying to say that this subject um, is heavy. Men deal with the same thing at their workplaces to a point where they deal with frustration. Um, they carry a lot on the inside, and most of the time they don't know or who to talk to, how to express themselves. But burnout is real in men. The only thing I can say is that a man should be able to know when to ask for some help because this may affect the person's health. High blood pressure.
And even other disease conditions.
I've seen that one happen.
Yeah.
And as far as I can go on that, but men need to be able to speak out on issues like this, talk to their leaders, their spouse, seek for some support, seek for some help.
So do you think it's more cultural that men do not speak? And you know how they say men don't cry?
The phrase or notion that men don't cry is a lie. crying doesn't necessarily mean that someone is on a corner shouting and no, with all the emotion. And no, 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 no. In this case, men do cry.
So, in other words, if they have to cry, cry to release the tension, right?
Exactly, exactly. So,
But find help if
crying,
you need
crying
help.
is crying is allowed. You can release all that tension, but while you're doing that, the first thing you want to do is to know that you're doing this and ask God for direction. What I may say at the beginning is that it's always good to pray when you're running into a situation like this. Say a brief prayer, um, and then within that time, develop a way to deal with it.
In other words, find self care,
Absolutely,
solution to your
absolutely, yeah.
care. Okay.
Find a solution to it. That may result to a lot of different things, but again, it's all relative to you as an individual as to how you want to handle it. But one thing is clear: men do deal with burnout on a daily basis at their workplace.
Okay. So, on that note, this one is going to be more like a personal question. Have there been moments in your life when you felt overwhelmed, burnt out, or emotionally exhausted? What helped you move from simply surviving to truly healing and thriving?
Go back to again, you run into this kind of situation. The first thing I do, or I've done, is to say a prayer for a minute and get myself away from that situation because when you're dealing with all these three factors that you mentioned, burnout, frustration, emotional, and all that good stuff, you don't know where or what direction to go. Important thing is to make sure that you're in control of yourself,
Yes.
your thoughts, your action, and then develop a game plan as to what do I do next? Do I need to escalate this to perhaps HR? Have you done it
If it's at
before?
work, right?
If it's at work, perhaps you've done it before, they didn't listen to you. Do I have enough resources to deal with this? Seek for help. Seek for help. You can't handle it. That's why it's bringing you down. And you know, talk to your peers, talk to your spouse, um, come up with a game plan on how to resolve the situation. There's
So,
there's
what
never
you just talked about is more of how you've handled it in the
exactly.
past. Okay.
So there's never a situation that cannot be dealt with, even if you have to resign from that job if it's job related. There's never a situation that you have to come up with a plan. If it's not that particular day or the day that you're dealing with this, then of course start planning for create an exit plan.
That's right.
Okay. Um, you shouldn't be in a toxic situation, an environment where it's bringing you down to a point where it's affecting your health.
But some people get stuck in those environments because of financial commitments, family commitments, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it makes it hard for them to move, especially as men or breadwinners in their family.
Well, that's correct. At the same time, the position you find yourself in that you perhaps financially comfortable with, it didn't happen overnight.
No, but there's something you said one time. You said, "Well, you have to be alive to
You
keep
have to
on
be yeah,
being
you're
in that final."
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be alive to be able to perform.
Yes.
So take care of yourself first. And how you take care of yourself is you need to number one, do an in-depth review of number one who you are. Uh, take an in-depth thought about who am I, what are my strengths, my weaknesses, what do I need to do, how can I get this done? Again, pray about it. And once you come to a decision, I promise you that decision is going to be very good decision for you. It's all about you as an individual. Take care of yourself.
When you say you, I'm thinking about what they usually say in the plane. Like if the cabin pressure is low, put a mask on yourself
Before you help
first
somebody
before
else.
you can help someone.
Yeah, you're
So
correct.
I think more of what we're doing is creating awareness right now, creating awareness so people can start taking charge of their lives so that they can help people around them.
Absolutely.
Because if you're pouring from an empty cup, there's no way you can help another
Yeah,
person.
absolutely.
So because of the fact that a lot of men didn't show up during the seminar, we're doing this to also talk to men to make sure that they're taking care of themselves, right?
Yeah.
But there's a question I want to ask you.
Before we move forward, let me
Yeah.
also add that um, a lot of men did not come in to that. It wasn't particularly sold to a lot of men that
It was,
they need to come, and
it was, but they chose not to
they
come.
chose not to come. So I was going back to the word that you used earlier, cultural. Okay.
Oh, when you say sold, okay, from that
Yeah.
perspective.
You can say, you can meet a woman, a lady, wife, say, so and so and so and so. That wife will read in depth as to what that means. And chances are, because our women are very, very outgoing. They want to know what's going on. A man will and process process that invitation. And I don't have time for that. It could be a very useful thing. So, but if it's something that is going on at a different level where the spouse already went to a seminar and learned a lot and come back and shared it, chances are, I would say, okay, let me just, if for nothing else, it would be a hangout with my wife.
Yes.
You see?
What Sarkozy just shared highlights a reality many men face every day. People often see the responsibility, but they don't always see the pressure behind those responsibilities. Also, burnout is not limited to one profession, but healthcare professionals often experience unique stressors, long hours, constant responsibility, emotional exhaustion, compassion fatigue. Dr. Michael Ebomna shared his experience as a retail pharmacist and discussed how burnout affects healthcare professionals. So more importantly, he shared practical solution for recognizing burnout and taking charge before it becomes overwhelming. Listen to Michael.
As a pharmacist, I worked in the retail side, and it is very easy for pharmacists to get burnt out, especially in retail, because they're making pharmacists do much more, giving them less staff, and cutting hours and just all types of things. And it really just, you become overwhelmed. You have all these metrics you're trying to meet, you have all these things that you're being told to do. And then on top of that, you want to be a good pharmacist and you want to, provide good patient care, but then you don't even have time to talk to patients. And so you lose, really sometimes you just lose the real reason why you went into healthcare. You start to lose it because of how busy and everything. And so I've saw it firsthand as a pharmacist. And honestly, even as a I'm in medical school right now, even physicians, there's a lot of physicians that are burnt out, whether it's because of bureaucracy in the hospital or insurance, dealing with insurance. All these things can steal the joy out of physicians. And so it is important that we learn how to navigate it, whether it's managing our stress, but also, not being tied down financially, like learn how to find ways to where we don't have to be completely dependent on our job to to have money, like where we can't leave our job if we don't, if we want, if even if we want to leave our job, we can't because we're trapped. you
Yes.
know Learning to have we need to learn strategies of developing financial freedom so that we can do what we want to do when we want it.
One of the most powerful things about Dr. Michael's perspective is that he reminds us that burnout is not a sign of weakness. It's often a sign that something needs attention. I also talked to Dr. Chinonsom Wozichi, a professor. Many men carry an additional burden: culture, expectation, tradition, the pressure to always be strong, the pressure to always provide, the pressure to never show vulnerability. Dr. Chinonsom Wozichi shared his personal experiences with burnout and discussed how culture influences how men respond to stress and emotional exhaustion. He also shared how he took charge of his life and well-being. Listen to that, Tom Chichi.
So how did the burnout affect your personal life, teaching, or even research work?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, you see, at that time, I became emotionally distant. Like I mentioned
Wow.
before, yeah, I became emotionally distant. Sometimes, even though I am naturally creative, but
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I was becoming less creative at that moment.
Wow.
So, yeah, and each time I realized that I would want to even put my more effort to what I was doing. But then the more I tried to put more effort, the less productivity I achieved. And sometimes I even became irritable. So
Wow.
my productivity started declining, and I found it hard to stay engaged even during meetings or simple discussions. So even the writing, I write a lot. I write, publish, I do research, which I find to be generally enjoyable to me. But
Mm-hmm.
at that moment, they became burdensome. So those when the things that you normally enjoy become start feeling burdensome, then that is a critical sign of a real burnout.
What made you decide to speak up or seek help?
Well, as a nurse, a public health advocate,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that ignoring burnout could jeopardize my health and
Yes.
purpose. You see, when you push the symptoms aside and continue to want
Mhm.
to push through to rock it through, that could actually jeopardize your health, and eventually you will not be productive. So a close colleague asked me one day, when was the last time you did something just for yourself? Because yeah, and I went to my thought about it. That was a philosophical question,
Yes.
and at the same time, it was rhetorical. I couldn't. It didn't require an answer at that spot. So I felt that was a wake up call for me to say, hey, I think you need to rethink your approach to
Yeah.
doing things. You can't give out of an empty vessel, so you also need to refill yourself to get rejuvenated, so that you can give more to the society.
Were there any cultural or professional or even financial pressure that made it harder for you to address your burnout? Because sometimes
Well,
stuff around us will make you like, oh no, like you be denying the situation even when it's really bad.
Well, yeah, it's a combination of multiple factors, I would say, including culture, like you asked. Culture
Mm-hmm.
plays a major role. I'm from Nigeria,
Mm.
and back in Africa, there's this cultural expectation that when you express vulnerability, that is considered weakness,
Weakness,
especially as a man.
especially a man.
Exactly, especially as a man. So, and again, being a first generation academic, a
Mm-hmm.
leader, representing global health equity, I
Mm.
felt pressure to keep showing up strong every time. In many cultures, especially within my Igbo culture,
Yes.
burnout can be misunderstood as a sign of weakness. So you don't want people to know that you are weak, so you want to push further. But I realized that it's good to even cry. It's good to
Yes.
express your emotion. It's
Yes.
good to,
Yes.
vent out when you are frustrated. These are normal. But within our culture at that time, because we were really subjected to that cultural influence,
Mm-hmm.
it was difficult for me to say, hey, I can't do this,
Yes.
because I felt I would be judged. I felt people around me would say, hey, I thought you're a man. Are you not? And people did say that. Are you not a man, my
Mm-hmm.
friend?
Oh,
Go and
suck it
do
up.
this.
You know how
Exactly.
they say,
So,
suck it up.
so
Yeah.
I think these factors contribute to burnout, and unfortunately, it also contributes to the fact that people do not really speak about it,
Yeah.
and it's okay to be vulnerable.
When you talked about the cultural part, I mean, I never thought about it that way, but what you're saying actually sounds right, especially for a man. If a woman cries because she's under pressure, people might say, okay, all right, okay, you're fine, and just kind of calm the person down. But for a man, how are you gonna say you're having burnout and you're crying? I mean, everybody around you would think the world is turning upside down.
Yeah, upside down on you, or
Yeah.
you are not man enough. That
Yes,
word, you're not man enough,
that's right.
can
That's
put
right.
people into a critical situation.
But it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to cry too, and then seek help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
recovery began with me acknowledging my limits. I started blocking off rest periods, decided to delegate. Before I would want to do everything by myself, but I had to learn that, part of the qualities of a good leader is to delegate.
Delegate. Yeah.
So, and also the worst part is learning to say no to some opportunities.
Wow.
So these
No.
are things I had to
Mm,
learn in a hard way, even if they were great. But at the point I would
mm.
say, no, this is not the time. And then therapy and prayer too. Prayer really did a lot of magic, I would say. And then support from trusted friends, mentors, and family. So all this really made me to reconstruct my view about how to deal with daily life activities and then how to manage my own self and take care of my personal self-care. So I think that moment was when I realized that, okay, having a personal time, a quiet time was really helpful. And then
Mm.
that also gave me the opportunity to reflect on the things
Mm.
going on around me. And then, but not just only faith, my family also reminded me that I'm valued,
Mm.
and I think that was also a major part of it. When you don't have a
System.
support system, it becomes very, very challenging to go through difficult situations. So that also contributed. Yeah, and then the people around me generally, I surrounded myself with people who had positive energy, that
Wow.
were not judgmental, but that
Hmm.
also realize that we are all human beings. Me re-strategizing and also recovering from the burnout I had encountered.
That's interesting. As someone that have been a nurse for so many years now, what advice will you give to a healthcare professional or an educator that is facing burnout right now, based on your experience?
Well, the advice I will give, I I have multiple pieces of advice, but the major one is that even when you are experiencing burnout, you are not failing.
Hmm.
It's just that your cup is just empty. You are not failing. Experiencing burnout is not a symbol of failure. It's just that you are exhausted. So
Hmm.
it's okay to pause. It's okay to rest. And it's also okay to realign and re-strategize.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad, regardless of whatever people say, because you can't give from an empty cup or an empty vessel.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not allowed to protect you actually have the liberty to protect your personal peace.
Mm-hmm.
You have liberty to prioritize your healing. So because you need to be strong for you to take care of it. Just like in the aeroplane,
Mm-hmm.
during the initial takeoff announcement, they'll tell you, okay, if the cabin pressure
Take
reduces,
care of
you
yourself
have to
first
you take care of yourself first
before
before
you
you
can
take
take
care of
other people.
somebody else.
That's
And
right.
that is really very critical.
Yes.
Being in charge means to be purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, you should be sustainably purposeful. I know that may sound like a complex word. What I mean is, when you are purposeful now, you have to devise a means to continue being useful, being purposeful. Because if you do it without considering yourself, you get exhausted. So it means saying yes to joy, things that make you happy, saying yes to rest, your quiet time,
Mm-hmm.
saying yes to meaningful work, like doing things that are meaningful, and at the same time, saying yes to things that prioritize you, like saying yes to prioritizing yourself. And also, you have to say no to
Oh
guilt.
man, I was waiting for that one.
Yes, say no to guilt driven overcommitment. I was guilty of that.
Yeah.
You don't want to disappoint somebody. So you always have to say
Yeah.
yes, yes. So that should be considered it should be considered strongly.
His story reminds us that burnout is not just physical, it's emotional, mental, spiritual, and sometimes cultural. Awareness is important. That was my conversation with Dr. Andrea Woni. But awareness alone is not enough, is not. The real question becomes, what do we do about burnout? Dr. Andrew shared practical insights and solutions that help individuals recognize burnout and move towards healing.
The idea of burnout is real. I think really working to ensure that we guard against burnout. So for me, part of what they talk about with burnout is lack of sleep is critical. So one of the things that I'm fortunate and I've always worked on is if I'm not sleeping and something's keeping me up at night, um, then I have a checklist.
Mm,
First question I ask myself is why am I awake and what is it that's
mm,
keeping me awake? The second question I ask myself is, can this thing wait till morning? Is there anything I can do about this during the middle of the night when I'm awake? If there's nothing I can do, and I'll run through the inventory of what can I do about this right now? If I cannot think of anything, and if I do, and it's not something I can do, let's say at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning,
mhm.
then I'll make notes to myself or make mental notes and go, okay, this is what I can do. But right now, what I need to do is sleep.
Sleep.
You know, sleep deprivation is a form of torture.
Mm,
When you read about how people are tortured, and I hope anyone watching this doesn't get the wrong impression. I don't go around reading about torture, but when you really look at stories of how people are tortured, the lack of sleep, sleep deprivation is one of them.
mm,
So anytime I find myself sleepless, I find myself going, oh, I
mm.
don't plan on being tortured because we can't think straight. We can't function at the highest level when it comes to problem solving from the lack of sleep. The other thing I focus on is making sure that, so what I didn't mention is I go back to basics. Am I sleeping well? Am I
Mhm,
well hydrated? Am I paying attention to my nutrition? Whether it's, even if I don't have an appetite, do I
mhm.
at least make sure I get my basic nutrients in? Get a veggie, get a fruit, get some protein or
I know you're the fruit guy.
and then make sure that I'm also physically active.
Burnout may be common, but it does not have to become permanent. Burnout doesn't only happen in hospitals. It doesn't only happen in leadership position. It happens in everyday life. During our conversation, Obi shared his experience with stress, burnout, and how he manages life's pressure. He also discussed the importance of maintaining balance and perspective. So, have you ever experienced burnout yourself? Maybe in school or life? What was it like for you?
Um, it's not the best feeling because sometimes you just want to like just stop and just cry, but it is what it is. It's a really bad feeling, but you just gotta trust in God and just keep moving and it'll all be good.
So, how do you handle stress or pressure when it comes your way?
For the most part, I tend to like distance myself from what may be causing me stress, which isn't the best thing, but
Mm.
sometimes you just have to like tackle it head on. So, yeah, for the most part, I would just say I would distance myself. But what I would like to do is just tackle it head on.
What I appreciate about Obi's perspective is that it reminds us that burnout can affect anyone. Many healthcare professionals lose motivation at some point. Many begin questioning their purpose. Many become discouraged. Martin Ibowosa shared his advice for nurses and professionals struggling with burnout, lack of motivation, and career fatigue. He also shared what taking charge means to him. So, Mr. Martin, what advice will you give to other nurses who are struggling with burnout or losing motivation?
Oh. Uh, a lot of advice. The first will be know yourself.
Mm,
It's very important that you are grounded, that you know yourself. I know we have obligations that requires you to work from time to time, at least besides your regular schedule, put in some extra hours. Um, when you see that, you snap easily, you
mm.
get tired, you're not, the motivation is not there anymore. Tap out.
Tap
Let,
out.
yeah, tap out. Let your supervisor know, let your colleague know. And I like to work, when I work with people, we work as a team. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I always look out. Hey, you can tell the other person who is in your team that, please, can you do this for me?
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Or can you help me with that? Try to delegate. Know how to delegate. Always delegate. That's why you have people working around you. That's why you have people working under you. Try
Yeah.
to delegate. And if you are one of the people who is helping, know when to tell your boss that, hey, let's slow down.
Yes.
Let's slow down. Because at the end of the day, is your sanity, is your license, is
You're
your
right.
livelihood.
That's right.
Always have that at the back of your mind. Is your license, is your sanity,
And your
your
livelihood.
livelihood.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
And then I traveled a lot. Have buddies. We travel around I mean, we've gone on, besides Antarctica, we've been everywhere else.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. That's how you maintain your personal life.
Yes.
Having fun with your friends
Constantly
and
party.
family too. Yeah.
Yeah. Party.
That's
Yeah.
good. All right. So this one is a powerful question, and that will be, what does taking charge mean to you in this current season of your life and career? So what does taking charge,
Owning it.
owning it,
You have to own it.
owning it, owning
Own
it?
it. The
Yeah.
buck stops with you. I mean, good or bad is you. So you have to own it so that you reap all the benefits.
His message reminds us that burnout does not have to define our future. And every person's burnout story is different. Fidelis shared his personal experience with burnout and how he intentionally took charge of his life during difficult seasons. So healing often begins with one decision, the decision to acknowledge what you're experiencing and take action. And you said you've experienced burnout too. So what led to your burnout and when did you realize things needed to change?
Wow, and like what you said, honestly, and I'm gonna like kind of piggyback on what you just said. Like you talk to nurses and we ask them about
Mhm,
burnout. They're like, really?
mhm.
Is that really a question you're trying to ask me?
Like
Let me
who
kind of
hasn't experienced burnout?
who has experienced burnout, right? So let's look at it like this.
Yes.
Statistics show that, 60 right now in 2025, about 67% of nurses are experiencing burnout. That's an increase from 2020, which is about 62%. What does that let's put the number down. Let's make it simpler, because people say statistics. What are you talking about?
Hmm.
It means
Yeah.
almost 2 out of 3 nurses you talk to is experiencing burnout right now.
Mm.
And that's crazy. And this is one of the things I'm going to say. Sometimes you're experiencing burnout as a nurse and you don't even realize what's happening.
I'm telling you, it's so subtle sometimes
It
till it
is.
breaks you.
Yes. And that was what was happening to me at that moment. I didn't really like in that moment, I didn't really like remind myself or understand that that's what's happening. I just
Mm.
kind of like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on with me right now, but we're going to try to, as we say, pull through the shift.
Like somebody has to do this.
Yeah, somebody has to do this, and they literally they even tell you then, and which is kind of it's not the best information to share, but they tell you that if all you're doing is babysitting this patient, we're okay because we have a body. Somebody named the nurse with a badge, with a license, sitting in the unit. If you don't do nothing, we understand. And this is why I said that I worked 40 nights straight with no day off.
Wow.
When we're talking about burnout, we're looking at a combination of things. A combination of physical, mental, and of course, you could say
emotional stress or exhaustion, all of them happen at the same time. I
Oh
can
my
I can
goodness.
confidently say I kind of went through all of that because physically I was tired. I was,
Mm.
that word they say running on fumes. That's practically what was happening at that point,
Oh my God.
because after so many nights, I can pay you $1,000 just to sleep.
Just to have peace.
Just to put my head on the pillow and just one day, nobody bothering me, just lock myself in the room just to sleep. That's how much I needed
I
sleep.
mean, if it's just sleep, it's different, but the
Mhm.
trauma too of
Mm.
seeing patients, like the workload and seeing patient going down, and you can do so much.
I'm
I
telling you,
mean,
I mean,
that's the trauma itself.
and when we talk about the trauma, and I'm glad you mentioned that, sometimes people don't understand. So as nurses, we don't only just provide care, we actually
Mm.
carry the burden and the pain of patients. So what the patients are going through, we're actually
Yeah.
experiencing it. You remember
Yeah.
when I told you, like, this is the reason why I went into nursing, because I really care. And a lot of nurses have that same passion. They do care. And you know what happens when you care? You carry the burdens of your patient. You advocate for
Mm.
your patient. You try to provide the best care for your patient. And then sometimes, if your patient is not improving, it takes a toll on you. And I started really realize that God, something need to change here because um, just to describe the stress that I went through when I was traveling, everything that's happening, the burnout, and then coming back to my family, and then I realized, okay, I'm gonna just be transparent with you guys because sometimes people need to hear these kind of things. One of
Hmm.
those times when I came back, I spent almost a whole week in the room just doing nothing. That's how tired and burnt out I was.
Mm.
Literally sat in the bed. Some people might say it's depression. I don't really see it as that because I wasn't like, in sad or don't want to relate. It's just I was so tired. I just want to lay down, sleep, wake up, eat, go back and do the same thing.
You needed
And
that
after
peace.
yes, and after a week, I was able to gain some strength. And but
Mm.
what does that mean? I left the family behind when I traveled. So that's one week
Mm.
when I came back that I could have connected with my kids, connected with my family, had some great time. That I was just sitting in the room. After like 2 years of it, I'm like, no, something have to change here because it's time for me to like, because this is the crazy thing. You wake up one day and you see you see your son. I have twins. You see your sons that are so small. Suddenly they're grown. It's like, where was I? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't even know what's going on in their life. So,
Mm.
so I had to like, no, I need to do something that will allow me to be present in the life of my family, and especially my
Wow.
children, be part of what's going on in their lives. So that's when that switch began to happen in my mind, and I knew that quickly I had to do something.
I guess you didn't talk about faith.
Well, talk about fate. That's fine.
So did it affect your faith kind of?
Of course he did.
Oh my
Because see, when I
goodness.
was traveling and like I talked about working 40 nights with no day
Mm-hmm.
off.
Mm.
Honestly, I didn't go to church during that time. And there are
Because
people of
you'll be
different.
tired to even pray too.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So personally, my personal devotion was actually affected. And you have to understand that, and this cuts across the board. It don't
Mm-hmm.
matter what you practice, but knowing that at that moment I'm not as connected as I would love to be,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell people this all the time. Even when I was working locally, I worked the weekend shifts and a lot of those shifts, and sometimes I go to church after Saturday night and Sunday morning, and 70% of what was preached I don't receive because I'm there half asleep. you know at some point I convinced myself, like, at least you're going, that's good, but at the same time, you know
Maybe
uh,
maybe by going, you probably had a little bit of
yes, of
information that
something.
can help you.
Yes. So that's what I convinced myself. But I don't preach that. I don't advise anybody to do that. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
well rested, go and receive, because, receive the word of God, or receive, and fellowship, with right now. And the same thing I was speaking about, being at home, but not being engaged because I was so
Being
tired and
present.
exhausted. The same way you are at church, you're not engaged because you're so tired and exhausted. It affects the faith, everything. And when it trickle down to your faith, it trickle down to your emotions, it trickle down to your physical. What is my goal in life? What is my purpose in life? And it boils into impact, right?
Impact.
That's my purpose in life, but through helping people. So I came into nursing because I wanted to help.
To help.
Yes, that was the key thing. I love helping and I wanted to bring value in that area. So now when I got into the financial industry, because at that point I was looking at what industry can I be able to also do the same thing. And then
Yeah.
I was able to segue into the financial industry. And the financial industry, I was able to do the same thing. But now I get to help people with their finances. So how I coined that is this: I went from healthcare to wealth
Okay.
care.
To work it.
So there was a transition there for me. Now I was able to, God, everything, like literally my faith, family, finance, fitness, fun, everything transformed overnight.
Also, healthcare professionals spend their time helping others, but who helps the helpers? Irene Honorable shared his experience with burnout, how he took charge of his life, and his advice for nurses and healthcare professionals who may be struggling. So his advice is a reminder that taking care of ourselves is not selfish, it's necessary because we cannot pour from an empty cup.
So, what were the emotional, mental, or physical signs that made you realize you were experiencing burnout?
Okay, so like I said, the first day was the day that I experienced that, but due to resilience and due to some people will call it mind over matter,
Hmm.
you weigh it out. I mean, there are other people doing it, so you go through that. So after a couple of years, I think after the second year, that was the day I was in the house and I had some muscle contraction
Wow.
in the middle of the year when I was sleeping because I usually work nights.
Hmm.
So it woke me up and I have to lay straight on the hard surface for a while
Wow.
for it to ease off. And I was supposed to go back that night, which I did, which was crazy, but I did because I don't want to call off. And so after that, I have to start thinking about some change. But you know, you keep this is you can't be doing this, you are
Hmm.
beating down on your body. Yeah. So that was when I started planning my exit from the emergency room. It's an emotional toll that you are doing this, but you are not checking up all the boxes that you would love to check up. And it starts over time start wearing you down emotionally as well.
Wow. And how did the burnout affect your life outside of work or your
Um,
mindset, relationship, or confidence?
yeah, so when that start happening, you start feeling me personally, I isolate. So you isolate to recharge as a
Hmm.
person. And I get to a point where that isolation start affecting people, your relationship with people, because
Hmm.
you are always unavailable. You are always isolating yourself. And okay, you're not at work. Okay, come out, let us hang out. But you wouldn't come out because that is also taking something away from you. You
Hmm.
need more time to recharge from the burnout. So you become unavailable. So, and that unavailability can be misinterpreted as you don't want to show up. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
you do show up and before you know it, it's time for you to go back, you feel that you are not well rested.
Hmm.
So it's like a circle, you know, and yeah, that has to be broken for you to really uh, get
Wow.
yourself together. Yes.
So, can you walk us through the step that you took to recover, reset, and truly take charge of your life again?
Yeah. So one thing that I do when I experience those, when I come home, of course, apart from sleeping, I always try to shut down, this compartmentalize
Hmm.
um, yourself,
Hmm.
close off the fact that you are no longer in the hospital and do some other things that eases you off, from that. You can go for a walk, you can try to push yourself to hang out with your friends. You can meditate. I do those things to ease me off from work. I don't want to see anything that looks like medical or sounds like medical. So back
Wow.
in those days, sometimes when you hear a beep in your house, it sounds like an alarm. It sounds like an
You think it's the
alarm.
monitor going off?
Yeah, I think it's a monitor going on. So you have to, and then I try to cluster my shifts. You know, 3 days are required. If you want to do that, you can want to cluster it so you can have more days off. So the first day might be the day of rest, then the other days might be the day of proper unwinding. So I don't do it like staggered up everywhere. So I can have a longer days off so that I can fully unwind.
What advice will you give to a new nurse or those early in their career who are quietly facing burnout?
First of all, I will say, you have to find out what burnout is first to know that
Yes,
you're experiencing that. And and if you're experiencing burnout, it's time to sit down and reflect. All the people that you are working with, maybe they are not as supportive or something might be going on that particular floor. So you have to evaluate what it is. Maybe you need to change floors or you need to change that particular department. You need
yes,
to evaluate that and take your step of, and take that leap for yourself. Save yourself. Just like you have been saving patients, save yourself as well. You don't lose yourself while saving patients. So you save
right.
yourself. So always prioritize yourself, just like, in the airplane, they will always tell you that if there is any issue, compression going on, the oxygen mask drops up, put it on yourself first before helping someone else.
That's
So
right. Right.
you always have to do that. You have to think about that before sitting.
So, Rinze, finally, what does taking charge mean to you?
Well, for me, taking charge is being holistic in your approach in your
Holistic.
career. You have to be holistic, both in your physiologic and your mental health,
Mm,
family, your the entirety of your being. You have to take charge of it.
that's
And
right.
there shouldn't be any leak anywhere. So
Mm-mm.
if there are leaks, it might corrupt the holistic aspect of your being. So, which burnout does, it seeps in and kind of goes into other things, of your life. So you have to take charge of it by shutting down, making sure there's no leak, emotional leak. And if it is coming from your career, you have to close it. And where to close it to see if you need to make a change. Sometimes you might not need to make a permanent change. It might be that you need to take a break.
You need to take it. That's the point.
Yes,
That
I
is
need
the
to take a
point.
break from it.
Taking a break.
Yes, take a major break from it by doing something else. And if you want to go back, you can always go back. Many people transition. I might decide maybe in a year or so, okay, I need to go back, or
Mm.
I don't have to go back. But the main thing is that when you finally take a break and go back, you see things a little differently. You pace your work better because you have experience in and out, so you can evaluate it and assess it better. So there's nothing wrong. Don't try to be the hero nurse. Try to take care of yourself and don't let accolades drive you. Let what your body is telling you, what your mental state is telling you, pay attention to it.
As we conclude this conversation, I return to where we started. The reality that many men are carrying burdens nobody sees. I ask Sarkozy one final question. What would you say to a man listening right now who feels like he has to carry everything alone? To listen to Sarkozy.
Take care of yourself.
Mm,
That's the first thing. You gotta take care of yourself.
that's powerful.
Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody. The job, if it's in a job environment,
Mm-hmm.
that situation that you find yourself in, if you don't, if you're not well and alive to do that, that job will stay there when you die.
And when
Or
you're dead,
when you're
yep,
destroyed, that job will
we'll
continue.
continue.
Okay, so if you have this in mind, put your mind in such a way that you need to survive whatever the situation is successfully now, not to a point where you mess yourself up. So take care of yourself, develop a game plan, get some help. Get some help. Get some help. I can't say it enough. Get some help. Get some professional help. You just don't have to be talking to someone. No, get some professional help and have a full, detailed, a complete discussion of what you're experiencing, and you'll be surprised what you get. I will say to men generally, talk about it, not just to your spouse. Get some help. These are two things I would like to emphasize on. Talk to your spouse about it. Let your spouse give you their own side of it and what they're going through, because it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
And then, of course,
if
they're
pray.
Christians or what?
Yeah,
Pray,
if you're a Christian, I say take a moment of meditation.
whatever you
pray.
believe in, however way you.
Yeah.
Because to me, praying or whatever way you meditating is a way for you to break. Like some people would say, "Wusa," and then you get yourself back together to continue to survive.
Take a break. If you have to take a break for a day or two, if it's a small situation, take a break from there. Walk away from your desk, go to the break room, drink some water, sit down for 5-10 minutes. As you're there, take a deep breath and compose yourself. When you come back, it's a new thing. You're able to, you're dealing with a situation that is afresh again. Again, take care of yourself. You know yourself more than I do, more than anybody. So you have to take care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't perform.
Wow. Such a coincidence that we're talking about this around Father's Day. So I guess all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day, and happy Father's Day to you, Sarkozy. So nice to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I think it will really help someone else out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's reflection time. I want every listener to pause and think about these questions. What burden am I carrying that nobody knows about? Who knows how I'm really doing? What have I been pretending is okay? What part of my life needs healing? What would change if I gave myself permission to ask for help? Sometimes breakthrough begins with honesty. For financial reflection, many men define themselves by their ability to provide, but your value is greater than your income. Your worth is greater than your paycheck. Financial literacy should create peace, not pressure. Options, not anxiety. Freedom, not fear. So a healthy man financially, emotionally, spiritually, and physically is better equipped to serve his family and fulfill his purpose. So if this episode spoke to you, share it. Share it with you. A father, a husband, a brother, a son, a male healthcare professional, a leader, someone who may be caring more than people realize. And leave a comment. What was your biggest takeaway from today's conversation? Remember, strong men get tired too. Strong men need support too. Strong men deserve healing too. Strong men deserve breakthrough too. Invisible burnout is real, but healing is possible, and breakthrough is possible too. So thank you for joining me on another episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. To every father, to every husband, to every brother, to every son, to every male healthcare professional, to every man carrying more than people realize, you matter. You are seen. And your breakthrough is possible. Until next time, bye-bye.
Take Charge with Dr. Chichi is a brand of Sparkling Star Development Strategies LLC. The information provided is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or medical advice. Financial services are offered independently by Dr. Chichi in accordance with applicable licensing and regulatory standards. Thank you for watching.